Dolan is the reincarnation of the world's strongest dragon, who disguises himself as a weak farmer to live ordinarily. However, everything changes when he saves a busty snake girl who's looking for a husband. Now she'll do anything to make hybrid babies with him. It all started over 1,000,000 years ago, when the mighty dragon was unfairly captured by the kingdom's knights. Even though the dragon had never harmed humans and had even helped them fight against demonic beasts, human hatred was so strong that the captain of the knights drove his blade straight into the dragon's heart. However, instead of drifting into the afterlife, the dragon reincarnates years later as a boy named Dolan, born into a family of worthless farmers in a remote village. Several years later, when Dolan comes of age, he works hard in the fields, and even though life in the village is pretty simple, he likes it more than being a lonely dragon in a cave. Shortly afterwards, Dolan meets up with his magic teacher for his usual magic practice, and since he still possesses his draconic power, he easily taps into it to summon a powerful electric bolt that rips the wooden target in two. Seeing how powerful Dolan's offensive magic is, his old hag of a teacher is impressed and believes the boy has grown up to be the most powerful mage alive. The next day, all the villagers ask Dolan for help since he is the strongest, to investigate the swamp near the village that has become a dead zone due to mysterious activity. Dolan agrees, and when he finally arrives at the swamp, he wonders why the place smells worse than a silent fart. However, after analyzing the disgusting water, he realizes that the elemental energy of the place is unbalanced, which is the reason why no living thing can survive there. Suddenly, Dolan hears rustling in the bushes, and as he pulls out his sword, thinking it's some kind of monster, a hot lamia girl named Selena emerges. She says she is here to capture him, but Dolan is already captured by her huge missiles and is unable to utter a single word. Suddenly, a giant earth golem appears behind Selena and tries to crush her like a useless bone, but Dolan reacts fast to slice off the monster's hand to save her. However, the golem regenerates its hand almost immediately, so Dolan and Selena hide behind a giant mushroom, where Dolan suggests they combine powers to fight the monster, since lamias are known to possess incredible magic. Hearing this makes Selena panic, but after Dolan assures her that he won't let anything happen to her, Selena agrees. At Dolan's signal, they both charge at the monster, but the golem fires off sharp boulders at Selena, which Dolan effortlessly deflects to save her. Right after that, Selena summons a terrifying anaconda that wraps itself around the golem, hoping to restrain it. However, the pressure of restraining such a huge monster drains her, and as the golem frees itself, Dolan seizes the moment to imbue his sword with dragon magic, and finally slashes the monster in two. Later that night, while having dinner out in the woods, Selena asks Dolan why he isn't scared of her like other humans, and Dolan explains that it's because she seems very different from the other lamias, who are usually very aggressive. When Dolan asks why she is in the forest, Selena explains that lamias have a rule that as they get older, they have to leave their village to search for a husband, and that was exactly what she was doing when they met. Even though Dolan has a lot to say, he chooses to remain quiet so the snake girl doesn't make him her baby daddy, and instead, he quietly offers her a bowl of his creamy soup to help her regain her strength. Very early the next day, they both get ready to leave for their various destinations, and after saying their goodbyes, Selena heads in the opposite direction to continue searching for her Prince Charming, while Dolan returns to his village. Much later, on her quest to find her Prince Charming, Selena runs into two ugly creeps along the road. However, when she desperately tries to befriend them, they notice her snake legs, which scare the life out of them and make the moronic losers run off like headless chickens. Having scared off every human she met, Selena finally realizes that finding a human husband is as difficult as finding a baddie with fewer body counts. Days later, after finally returning to the village, Dolan dives straight into magic training, and under the guidance of Ma Guru, his magic teacher, and Ari, her granddaughter, he learns how to craft healing potions. Later that day, after magic training, Dolan rushes to the training ground where he teaches the brats of the village how to fight, but on the way, he runs into Miyu, a hot mommy demi-human with ginormous milk jugs, who offers him some of her creamy milk. In the entire village, Miyu is known as the ultimate milk factory, who generously shares her milk with every simp, but considering how late he is for his training, Dolan decides to pass on the tempting offer. However, when Miyu insists he has a taste by offering him a jug filled with her tasty milk, the hopeless simp agrees to be a milkman. As a result, Dolan arrives late at the training ground near the village boundary, where he finds out that Albert had already trained the brats in combat on his behalf. However, while scanning the area, Dolan suddenly senses a strange aura, and this unsettling energy makes him suspect that a monster is lurking nearby. So later that night, Dolan, feeling restless, enters the forest to investigate if truly there is a monster close to the village. As he ventures deeper into the forest, he suddenly stumbles upon Selena washing her body with her headlights on, which startles him. Shocked by his presence, Selena loses her balance, but before she hits the ground, Dolan catches her and, in the process, builds plot with her wigglies. Feeling embarrassed, Selena immediately asks Dolan not to stare at her milk pack, but since it's the useless virgin's first time seeing oranges this fresh, he couldn't take his cultured eyes away, so Selena is forced to trademark her palm on his stupid face. When Dolan asks what she is doing in the forest with her tatas exposed while she is supposed to be searching for a husband, Selena shares the terrible experience she had with all the guys she met and how her appearance terrified them into running away. Wanting to help her, Dolan suggests that Selena live in his village, an idea that at first freaks her out since humans are known to be hostile to her kind. However, after Dolan explains that many beastkin and demi-humans already live in his village and then also assures her that he has the perfect plan to help her blend in without any hassle, she excitedly agrees. The next morning, the village guards awaken to the shocking sight of a dead beast lying near the outskirts. The gruesome sight leaves them speechless, and with the presence of a deep pit close to the corpse, Malida, the vice-captain of the guards, suspects a lamia must be responsible for the carnage. Terrified to the bone by this revelation, Balin, the fat meathead captain of the village guard, calls for an emergency meeting with the village chiefs, where they discuss what should be done. When Balin suggests they immediately attack the lamia before something terrible happens, one of the village chiefs tells him to chill and try to think with his enormous dome before doing anything rashly. He reminds Balin that lamias are dangerous creatures, and since the village has only a few soldiers for defense, it would be best to call for reinforcements from the capital. However, since the dead animals are more like a peace offering than a cause for terror, Maguru tells everyone not to panic, but to wait for Ahirii. A few minutes later, after Ahirii brings in the results of the fortune-telling Maguru did that morning, Maguru announces that the appearance of a snake is a sign of good fortune, and it's best they wait and see what the lamia does. With everything going according to plan, Dolan rushes to meet Selena in the forest so they can proceed to the final phase of the plan. However, by the following day, Captain Meathead is still stubbornly bent on eliminating the lamia despite everyone's warnings. In preparation for an attack on the lamia, he gathers all the guards, the village leaders, and the young trainees at the border for an intense outdoor drill. However, Dolan isn't the least bit worried, as this is exactly how he wanted things to unfold, as his plan is to run into some kind of danger, so Selena will burst out from hiding and save him. That way, everyone in the village will witness her bravery firsthand and see her as a hero, rather than the filthy monster they've always assumed her to be. Suddenly, one of the guards dashes out of the forest in panic, announcing the presence of a monster. Thinking it must be the lamia, Balin instructs everyone to be on guard, but before their very eyes, a terrifying armored bear emerges, pulling down trees. Terrified for their lives, all the useless weaklings scatter, scurrying for safety, but suddenly, a weenie brat trips, and as the bear attacks, Dolan charges to save the boy. At the same time, Selena bursts out of hiding to save the boy, but she ends up saving both Dolan and the boy while getting her back slashed. With everyone watching in shock, Selena unleashes her lamia's power through her cursed eyes to calm the beast, and then commands the monster to head back to the forest, ensuring that no one in the village is harmed. As the dust settles, Minecraft Head, still doubtful of Selena's intention, pulls out his Thor hammer, insisting they must eliminate her, but Melida reminds the Mushroom Head that the lamia girl just saved both his little son, Toro, and Dolan. Realizing he had been a brain-dead moron all along, Balin takes a chill pill and then asks Selena if she has been the one leaving the offerings in the village. After Selena confirms that she was, Balin insists on knowing why she saved Dolan and his son, and Selena explains that she saved them because their families will be saddened by their deaths. She then begs that all she wants is to stay in their village, promising that she has no intention of harming humans. Just then, the village's divine priestess, Leticia, also confirms that it's the goddess's will for Selena to stay, and hearing this, everyone finally accepts Selena as a member of the village. After Selena sincerely thanks the villagers for accepting her, exhaustion overwhelms her, and she collapses. Hours later, when she finally regains consciousness, she is stunned to discover that Saitama and the rest of the villagers have worked together to build a home for her. Upon entering the house, Selena immediately notices the soft cushions scattered casually around, which makes her extremely happy. However, Balin, feeling like a complete jerk, apologizes for raising his weapon at her, and then thanks her for saving his son. Later that night, while everyone sleeps, Dolan transforms into his astral form and ascends into the heavens. There, he meets the hot goddess, Myrael, who had been his friend back when he was still a dragon. After he thanks her for supporting Selena to stay in the village, He also tells her how impressed he is that she recognizes him even in his human form. Meryl explains that she sensed his soul among the humans, but this time she notices that it sparkled with the joy of life. She then admits this surprises her because, back then, when Dolan was a lonely dragon, he was sick of living, and Dolan explains that his rebirth as a human changed him completely. He admits that watching the villagers live each day in happiness, as if it were their last, made him want to continue living. The next day, in the Magic Academy in the city capital, the headmistress of the academy, Olivia, receives a detailed report from one of her students, Christina, who had been sent as an envoy to Dolan's village to study the ways of the villagers. In her report, Christiana highlights how seriously the villagers take combat training, determined to defend their small community against any threat. She notes that, despite the harsh living conditions, she felt an undeniable warmth from the people, and their kindness has drawn her closer to them. Meanwhile, that night back at the village, Christiana, while training, unexpectedly bumps into Dolan and Selena, desperate to make a friend, immediately invites Christiana to her new crib. Later, when they arrive, Selena immediately slumps on her plump bed, and after excitedly expressing how warm the bed is, she asks Christiana to also join her on the bed. However, she apologizes immediately, thinking her request might make her look like a desperate homo. But to her shock, Christiana slumps on the bed, and then compliments how comfy the bed is, which makes Selena very happy. Selena then admits she was initially worried the villagers wouldn't accept her, but the more she got to know them, the more she learned to love them. When the girls notice Dolan standing like a club bouncer, they ask him to join them on the bed. But Dolan, scared of being too close to girls so he doesn't bust a fat one, tries to refuse, forcing the girls to drag him to the bed so they can feel the warmth of his massive girth. The next day, Dolan and the girls decide to chill at Miyu's famous milk bar, where Balan is busy flexing the only achievement he has in life, which is the fact that he can outdrink everybody. To destroy his fat skull ego, Christiana challenges him to a drinking contest, which Balan immediately accepts, confident that he can never lose to a girl. However, after a couple of drinks, the ugly, undesirable loser collapses like a worthless piece of trash, earning Christiana the victory. Meanwhile, at the Magic Academy, Olivia finishes reading Christiana's report and is pleased to hear that she is enjoying life to the fullest, unlike a depressed middle-aged loner like her. Later that evening, at the Magic Academy banquet, news spreads that Christiana has formed an unlikely friendship with a lamia, something that has never happened before since humans and monsters were meant to hate each other. While enjoying the party, Olivia is suddenly interrupted by Kieran, the kingdom's high-ranking mage, who demands to know all about the lamia that has been trending. Surprised by her sudden interest, Olivia asks why she wants to know about the lamia, and Kieran explains that as the kingdom's mage, it is her duty to determine whether this lamia poses a threat to the people of the kingdom. Olivia assures her that the lamia poses no threat whatsoever, and the goddess also supports her stay in the village, but Kieran insists they must prepare for the worst, and then commands that Selena be brought to the capital city at once. To make that happen, she instructs Ganda, the commissioner in charge of the jurisdiction, to send soldiers to the village to arrest Selena. Several days later, Dolan, Selena, and Christina are busy working on the farm when a guard, panicking, comes running to inform them that their attention is needed at the gate. By the time they all arrive at the gate, they meet Ganda and his knights, who insist on taking Selena to the city to confirm if her presence is truly safe, but Dolan also insists on tagging along since he is responsible for bringing Selena to the village. After Ganda reluctantly agrees, they leave for the capital in a carriage, but Christiana, worried that something doesn't seem right, decides to visit Olivia in the capital to understand the madness going on. Activating the power of her wind magic, she boosts her speed, making her lighter than air, and then charges towards the capital. Meanwhile, inside the carriage, Dolan notices Selena looking a bit tense about the situation, so he assures her everything will be fine. And as he hugs her, he also gently pats her head to comfort her. Sometime later that night, Christiana arrives at the capital, and as she storms into Olivia's office, demanding to discuss the commissioner's visit to the village, Olivia tells her to take a seat so they can talk. Over a cup of tea, Olivia gently assures Christiana that Selena will not be executed, since she is under the divine protection of the goddess Moral. However, her tone grows more serious as she explains that it was Kieran's decision to take Selena in, as Kieran suspects that Selena may be connected to the recent abductions affecting the kingdom. Meanwhile, several hours later, Dolan and Selena finally arrive at the capital, where Ganda takes them deep inside the forest to reveal a secret to them that he doesn't want anyone else to hear. Around the same time at the Magic Academy, Olivia explains how Selena's situation might be difficult to get out of, since Kieran wields immense power in the capital. Angered by those words, Christiana slams the table, demanding to know if something can be done to save Selena, but Olivia warns her that acting thoughtlessly might complicate the whole situation. Shortly afterward, Ganda takes Dolan and Selena to meet Kieran, and, contrary to their expectations, Kieran welcomes them warmly and even invites them to dinner. However, while they eat, the sadistic witch starts rambling uncontrollably about how beautiful Selena's skin is, and suddenly she starts acting freakier than Hisoka, declaring that she wants to have Selena's beautiful skin. While she yaps on, Selena and Dolan suddenly lose consciousness from eating her drugged food. Meanwhile, at the Magic Academy, Ganda visits Olivia in her office, where he meets Christina and then explains the findings of the investigation he has conducted into the recent abductions in the capital. It turns out that for some months now, several baddies in the capital have been abducted, and not a single one of them has been found. Based on Ganda's investigation, he found out that an evil mage who is over 300 years old is responsible for the abductions. Apparently, after abducting the girls, she uses forbidden magic to possess their beautiful skin to continue living, and Ganda suspects Kieran to be that evil mage, and her goal is to do the same to Selena. Meanwhile, in an underground lab, Kieran ties up Selena to take her beautiful skin, but just as she is about to rip off her skin with a knife, Dolan regains consciousness and stops her. Shocked that he is awake so soon, Kieran wonders if she messed up the sleeping drug dosage, but Dolan demands to know why she is taking the lives of innocent girls. Kieran admits it's all for research purposes to make her look flawless, and then explains that her arm, leg and face were all collected from beautiful beastskin girls. However, mid-conversation, Selena also regains consciousness and is disgusted to know that the nutcase was just about to go all Jeffrey Dahmer on her. Kieran promises Selena to make good use of her skin, but Selena wonders if she emptied her head when she woke up and then reveals that Ganda had been right all along about her. Turns out, to further his investigation on Kieran, Ganda, being a short smart man, had given Dolan and Selena magical audio chips to hide under their ears so he could record the entire conversation. Suddenly, Ganda, Olivia, Christiana, and Knights of the Kingdom kaboom their way inside the secret lab to arrest Kieran for all her crimes, and seeing that her evil deeds are out in the open, Kieran decides to share her sad story with everyone. Years ago, when she was just a weenie evil brat, she hated herself because she looked worse than Pennywise, but she always desired to look pang like Kim Kardashian. So to achieve this goal, she went on a bloody rampage to knife cunt any beautiful baddie she came across so she could wear her skin. She kept at it for years, and during that time, she abducted more than 100 girls, and all of them were used in her disturbing skin regeneration experiments. In the present, after narrating her sad tale, the wackadoodle transforms into an abomination mutant, fleshed out using the various body parts of her victims, and then attacks to take Selena by force. But Dolan jumps just in time to save her. Having had enough of the ugly witch, Selena uses her cursed eyes to restrain her, while Christiana slices off her hands. After her hands regenerate, Kieran attacks again, but Christiana goes on a slicing spree to slice off every part of her grotesque body. Enraged by the assault, Kieran hulks out and blasts Christiana with demonic purple mist, but Christina blocks it using her magic sword. After finally understanding that Kieran is using dark magic, Dolan tells everyone to leave the menace to him. As Christiana cautiously steps back, Dolan tells Kieran that being bitter will never make her pretty, and then, summoning his powerful draconic spell, he rains celestial daggers at her, which completely obliterates her without leaving a trace. The following day, Ganda and Olivia meet up with Dolan and the girls at the Magic Academy, where Ganda apologizes for getting them involved in the nasty incident and for using them as bait for his investigation. To show his gratitude for their help, Ganda gives Selena a legal certificate of residence from the Majesty, proving that she is now a bona fide citizen of the country, which excites Selena beyond words. Later that day, before leaving the capital, Dolan and Selena visit a dude named Denzel Washington, who apart from looking like a failed comedian, is also Ma Guru's son. Denzel then suggests they take a stroll around the capital before they leave, and Dolan agrees. However, when they arrive at the marketplace, a boy accidentally drops his nut, and Selena, trying to be friendly, picks it up and kindly offers it back to him. But instead of gratitude, the boy runs away in fear, while everyone in the marketplace also reacts in fear, seeing that she is a lamia. This makes Selena sad, but she tries to hide it from Dolan by asking them to buy gifts for the villagers back home before they leave. A while later, after Dolan thanks Ganda and Denzel for the hospitality, Denzel suggests that Dolan enroll in the Magic Academy, explaining that his magic powers are extraordinary, and it would be a shame to let them go to waste. When Dolan refuses, saying he can't leave the village, Olivia butts in, promising to let him stroke her if he agrees, and this makes the simp start rethinking his decision. However, seeing her love interest trying to be the ultimate simp makes Selena sad, and even as they journey back to the village, she is overwhelmed by sadness at the thought of Dolan leaving her to chase after city babes at the academy. Later that night, deep within the forest, an elf boy stumbles upon a terrifying sight. Millions of demonic ants known as zerts rush out of a pink portal from the gate of hell. The elf boy freezes in fear, unable to move, and before he can even attempt to run, a zert lunges from the shadows, ending his life in an instant. Moments later, the head of the elven knights arrives at the scene with his assistant, and the shocking sight of hundreds of elves slaughtered terrifies him to the core. The following morning, at the training ground, while watching Dolan and Christiana train the brats, Selena couldn't stop thinking about whether Dolan would eventually agree to join the magical academy and then leave her. However, her daydream is interrupted when some naughty brats start playing with her tail, so she is forced to chase them away. After training that day, Christiana meets Dolan and asks if he would like to explore the forest with her, and when Dolan asks why, she reminds him that he is the protagonist of an action anime and not some lover main character in a spicy manga. Realizing she makes sense, Dolan agrees, and Christiana adds that Balin would also like to accompany them so he can graze his pigs. Later that day, they all head into the forest, and while the pigs happily forage, one curious pig wanders off on its own for some quiet exploring. Noticing this, one of the knights immediately rushes after it, determined to catch the runaway before it strays too far, but he meets the sight of a dead pig, ripped to shreds. Before the knight can figure out what is going on, a terrifying bladed tiger appears before his eyes, ready to snack. But as the tiger attacks, Balin sweeps in just in time to save the weak mofo from joining his ancestors. However, just as they think the danger is over, a demonic zert appears from nowhere and attacks Balin. When Dolan and the girls overhear Balin scream worse than a white girl in a horror movie, they immediately rush to check up on the big guy, only to see him wounded on the ground with the zert standing above him. As the zert attacks, Dolan blasts it with a powerful energy blast, while Christiana finishes it off by slicing off its head, vanquishing it in an instant. Later that night at the village, everyone is worried about Balin's health, but the creepy village chief assures them that Balin is a big boy, so he will be fine. With everyone terrified about the presence of a monster in the forest, Dolan volunteers to investigate the forest, but Maguru suddenly shows up, warning him not to. She says venturing into the forest will be too risky, but as Dolan continues insisting on going, Maguru agrees, but on the condition that he takes someone with him. Christiana immediately volunteers to be that person, but the village chief firmly disagrees, pointing out that if anything should happen to her, the Magic Academy would hold the village responsible. Not to be outshined, Selena then volunteers to go with Dolan, and then reminds everyone that she still has the cursed eyes, so she isn't as useless as they all think she is. Seeing how much Selena desperately wants the spotlight, Dolan then agrees to take her along before she starts tearing up like a big crybaby. Very early the next day, Dolan and Selena head to the forest, but upon arriving at the entrance, they meet Christiana, all dressed and already waiting for them. When Dolan asks why she disobeyed the village chief, Christiana explains that she can't just wait and do nothing while the village she loves might be in danger. Sensing the honesty in her voice, Dolan agrees to let her tag along, and Selena also agrees, saying she has no problem. Upon entering the forest, they are attacked by several zerts, which Dolan and Christiana effortlessly deal with. However, they soon encounter an ugly giant ape, which Selena easily controls with her cursed eyes, while the ape babies get all smoochy with Dolan. Later that afternoon, they have lunch with the beasts, and when Christiana asks Selena why she isn't scared of monsters, Selena reminds her that she is also a monster just like the apes. Noticing that Christiana is scared of the little freaks, Selena gives her an apple and asks her to try feeding the little ape, and when Christiana does, the ape baby eats with so much gladness. Realizing the innocent little ape baby isn't as scary as she thought, Christiana strokes its little bald head, which makes her feel good about herself. While watching Christiana scarf down food, Selena, mesmerized by her beauty, compliments how much of a real pie face she is, and when Dolan also joins in glazing her hot face, Christiana starts to blush like a shy girl. When Selena asks to know her secret skincare routine, explaining that she needs it to boost her chances of bagging herself a husband, Dolan tells her that she is fine just the way she is, which rizzes up Selena, making her believe that Dolan must be in love with her. Suddenly, Dolan's spider sense tingles at the presence of a monster lurking nearby, and before he can alert everyone, a glassy ball rolls across the forest floor and stops at their feet. Inside the shimmering sphere, they see a tiny fairy, who warns them to run. However, before they can, a zert suddenly shows up, but even after Christiana claps it, more show up, and when one of the Zerts delivers a sneak attack, Dolan is forced to reveal his dragon hand to crush it like a tiny worthless bug. Just then, Christiana almost flatlines when a Zert attacks from behind her, but Selena unleashes her lamia power at the last minute to save her. After defeating the demonic insects, the tiny fairy thanks them for saving her and then introduces herself as Merle, explaining that she was exploring the forest when all of a sudden the demonic ants started chasing her out of nowhere. Hearing this, Dolan puts his brain cells to work and figures the Zerts might just be mere scouts sent by a more powerful demon, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Suddenly, Dolan notices that they are surrounded, but this time, he senses the force surrounding them isn't hostile like the demons, so he puts his sword on the floor to show he means no harm. As Christiana also does the same, elves from the bushes emerge, and the leader of the elves approaches to have a word with Dolan. The leader of the elves, Geo, is already pissed with Dolan because Dolan has a hotter face, but when Merle tells him that Dolan and the girls saved her, he lowers his guard and expresses his gratitude to Dolan for saving Merle. Still, he tells Dolan that the forest belongs to the elves, so they need to get the heck out, but Dolan politely introduces himself, and after explaining that they are currently investigating the forest, he apologizes for trespassing into elven territory. However, Abel still insists that they leave, explaining that the forest and the elven village just nearby aren't safe since they are currently waging war against the demon armies. Just as Geo is about to leave, Christina grabs him by the collar, insisting that they can help his village fight against the monsters. Meanwhile, the mention of a demon army makes Dolan realize there must be a portal somewhere in the forest connecting the demon realm to Earth, and if that portal isn't closed soon, stronger demons might start coming through. Not wanting that to happen, Dolan resolves that the portal must be destroyed at all costs, even if it will cost him revealing his dragon powers to the world and getting chased out of his village because of that. When Dolan formally offers to help in the fight, an elven boy tells Geo to calm down and accept help from the humans, and after realizing they will need all the help they can possibly get, the cocky show-off finally agrees to the temporary partnership. Just as they are about to shake hands and seal their partnership, a massive explosion rips through the forest, and a thick purple mist erupts into the sky, which Dolan instantly recognizes to indicate that the demonic portal is now fully accessible. Out of the portal, a high-ranking creepy-looking Barbie demon named Rafflesia and two demon generals emerge, ready to inflict unbearable harm on humanity. Realizing that the elven village might be in grave danger, Dolan wastes no time channeling his wind magic, wrapping everyone in a powerful current, and they race through the forest toward the village using their magical V12 engines. At the same time, Rafflesia and the demon generals, hungry to cause mayhem, set their eyes on the elven village as a starting point. A few hours later, at the elven village, a massive number of Zerts attack, and while the elves try to prevent them from breaching their walls, Geolude, one of the demonic generals, arrives and immediately blasts open the wall. After gaining entry to the elven village, Geolude almost ends a miserable elf boy when suddenly he gets restrained by vines unleashed by a friendly demon with jiggly cannons named Deodara. On the other side of the elven village, Dolan and the gang arrive and take out most of the Zerts trying to gain access into the village. After Geo creates a magic path to speed their way into the village, Dolan decides to buy Geo and his knights some time. To help Selena and Christiana level up their spells, he gives them magical crystals he retrieved after defeating the Earth Golem the day he saved Selena. Harnessing the power of the crystals, Christiana casts a massive whirlwind that wipes out most of the Zerts, while Selena conjures earth shards, striking down more of the pests like a true earthbender. Dolan then finishes the job by unleashing a Giga Inferno that roasts all the Zerts across the horizon. Back in the village, Deodara continues restraining Geolude with her vines until the creepy Barbie demon shows up to counter her attack and free the big guy. Around the same time, Dolan and the girls finally make it inside the elven village and are mesmerized by the civilization, but Geo tells them this isn't the time for sightseeing, so they need to hurry the fudge up. Inside the village, Geolude is furious at Rafflesia for saving him like he's some worthless piece of trash, and then brags that he could have handled the situation on his own. But Rafflesia tells him that his attack is as weak as his backshots. Just then, Deodara attempts to summon the spirit of the forest, hoping to draw upon its strength and knock her enemies' lights out. But Rafflesia shows her all the countless flowers in the forest, and then explains that she has already knocked the spirit of the forest lights out. Angered by this, Deodara attacks by blasting Rafflesia with sharp vines, but the demonic shorty spins in the air like a kite to evade the attack and then calls Deodara a weak loser for even trying. As Deodara continues her assault, Rafflesia activates a ball of demonic energy, and with just a touch of her finger, the vines crumble instantly like burnt paper caught in the wind. Seeing the shocked expression on Diodora's face, Rafflesia explains that she is the spirit of a demonic realm flower that only feeds on blood and life, making it impossible for anything living to harm her. When Diodora attacks again with her vine, Rafflesia tells her she has a duck brain for doing the same thing and expecting a different result, before disintegrating her vines like it's nothing. However, feeling overconfident, Rafflesia closes her eyes to show she can withstand any attack even blindly. But at that moment, Diodora seizes the opportunity to slash at her ugly face. Enraged at seeing blood on her face, Rafflesia unleashes her demonic aura, and with the help of Geolude, they attack simultaneously to smash Diodora cakes to the ground. Just as they are about to finish her off, Dolan drops from the sky like Thor to stop them and save Diodora. Everyone is shocked to see the Gigachad, but when Dolan tries to riz Diodora by helping her to her feet, Geolude gets pissed that he is too ugly to riz up anyone and then attacks Dolan. But Christiana shows up at that moment to deflect his strike, and when the little witch tries to sneak attack, she gets sent flying by an arrow shot by the elves hiding up the mountain. Suddenly, another earthquake erupts, and deep inside the forest, a similar purple mist goes off, indicating the presence of another high-ranking monster. Just then, from the portal, a freaky two-horned superior demon emerges, locked and ready to inflict more harm. Meanwhile, back in the elven village, as Selena shows up, she unleashes her lamia power, summoning a seven-headed beast snake that targets Geolude. Seeing the enormous mana emanating from Selena, Rafflesia, hungry to feed on it, immediately charges at her, but Dolan wastes no time blasting her off with a powerful explosive energy, while Diodora slams her to the ground with her vines. As Selena continues to restrain Geolude with her nine-headed snake, Gellin, the second demonic general, shows up and challenges her to a duel. But Geolude, summoning all his might, breaks free from Selena's snake clutches and insists on being the one to fight the lamia girl instead. Sensing Selena is in a big mess, Christiana quickly deflects a strike from Geolude before it hits her. Realizing how strong Christiana is, Geolude suspects she must be Wonder Woman, but Christiana doesn't have the slightest idea what the big-headed moron is yapping about. However, she is sure ready to face off against the big freak, and after imbuing her blade with magic, she charges at Geolude and manages to stab him right in his fat neck vein. Pissed off at this, Geolude swears to rip off her hand to warm his meat at night, and then goes completely berserk. In the meantime, Selena manages to restrain Gellin with mighty hands she summons from the earth and then blasts him with a cursed blade, but Gellin shows she is no match for him by tanking her attacks without a single scratch. Shocked by this, Selena wraps him with her nine-headed snake beast, but Gellin mocks that he would have preferred to be wrapped under the sheets with her Frogga style before vanquishing her snake monster like it's nothing. Just then, Gellin attacks Selena with his massive axe, but Dolan intervenes to block his attack and save her, before punching his ugly guts. Suddenly, the horned demon drops from the sky, crashing the party, and from sensing his aura, Dolan can tell the big guy isn't like the rest of the demons and is actually superior in terms of raw power. The horned demon introduces himself as Jorg and then says that, after witnessing the battle, he is happy to face a formidable opponent. As he pulls out his giant sword, ready for the face-off, Dolan charges at him, and after a few heated sword exchanges, Dolan tries to blast him with a powerful explosion. But Jorg tanks it without a scratch to his armor. This makes Dolan realize that Jorg isn't just some demon, but a fallen god who enjoys playing demon as a part-time gig. Impressed at Dolan's intuition, Jorg also points out that he suspects Dolan to be more than a human with how strong he is, but he still can't point a finger at what exactly he might be. At this point, Dolan realizes he won't be able to defeat Jorg without using the full strength of his draconic power. However, he knows that doing that will expose his beloved village to danger, and while trying to come up with the best strategy to deal with this menace, Jorg attacks with full force, forcing Dolan to swiftly dodge his attack. As Dolan tries to slash him, he only barely manages to scrape his skin, and while he is distracted facing off with Jorg, the mini-witch and Geolude sneak attack from behind. Combining their demonic powers, they try to obliterate Dolan from the face of the earth, but Dolan, seeing how strong the attack is, activates 50% of his draconic power. As a result, his dragon wings pop out, and with a massive whirlwind, he nullifies the attack, surprising everyone, and then counters with an energy bolt that hits Rafflesia and Geolude, knocking them from the sky. Wanting to end the fight once and for all, Jorg combines his divine demonic powers to unleash his ultimate combo. As he sends it Dolan's way, the girls panic, but Dolan just smiles like a Chad, and using his blade, he redirects the attack to the sky to hit Elon Musk on Mars. Shocked by what he's seen, George starts laughing like a pothead who inhaled too much nose powder, and then comments on how impressed he is with Dolan. But Dolan tells him he talks too much like a bitter single mother, then insists they keep fighting until one of them drops. However, George says he is done fighting for now, and instead of fighting, he suggests that Dolan and the rest of the elves join him in his deranged quest to take over Earth. He says he will give them 3 days to think it over, but after the 3 waiting days elapse, he will be back, and this time with a more demonic army than they could possibly imagine. That said, he rallies his demonic soldiers and they leave, promising to be back to rain fire and brimstone if the humans decline their offer. As the tension dies down, Selena rushes to check up on Dolan and expresses how scared she was that he was going to meet his doom before she gets to slurp on his candy stick. But Dolan assures her that he is fine, and then says he is glad that she is unhurt. Moments later, Geo leads Dolan and the girls to meet the village chief, and upon entering the village chief's residence, they are shocked to see a scrawny old elf who warmly welcomes them to the elf village and then introduces himself as Dio. He also introduces the jacked wolf dude by his side as Vlaik, his right-hand man, and then the monster spider girl with perfect jiggly machines as Alcian. Dolan suspects they must be the 3 chiefs of the various tribes residing in the forest, and Dio tells him that they've heard a lot about his superhuman powers. However, while Dio yaps on, Olivia suddenly walks in, surprising Dolan and the girls. When Christiana questions what she is doing in the elven village, Olivia explains that she is an elf born in the village, and she only left the forest years ago to have a taste of city life. However, when she heard that the forest was under attack, she had to quickly rush to the village. Just then, Dio interrupts the conversation by announcing that the elves have no intention of waiting for the 3 days given to them by the demons to accept their offer. Dio says the plan is to attack the demons the next day with the forces they can gather to destroy the portal leading to the demonic realm and send the filthy demons back to hell. When Dolan makes it clear that he and the girls intend to continue fighting for the elves, Dio and Vlaik see it as an insult to the elves, that they are far too useless to fight their own battles, but Alcian tells them to shut their egoistic mouths and accept all the help they can get. Turning to Dolan and the girls, Alcian tells them that they are deeply honored to have them fighting by their side and wouldn't trade that for anything. Realizing Alcian is right, Dio and Vlaik lower their heads in gratitude and then thank Dolan and the girls for their help. After Dolan and the girls promise not to disappoint the elves, Dolan notices Diodera silently leave the meeting without saying a single word, which makes him curious. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, close to the demonic portal, Geolude and Gellin are pissed off that they couldn't finish the battle and were bodied by weaker species. George, on the other hand, is thrilled, as for the first time in years, he finally got the chance to battle a worthy opponent in Dolan. Dolan's combat capabilities and the mana he exudes make George suspect without a doubt that Dolan might be the reincarnation of the strongest dragon. Years back, when he was still part of the god army, he and his fellow warriors had just ended a fierce battle between monsters. However, while catching their breath, they heard a massive blast, and when they turned towards it, that was the very first time George beheld, in awe, the ancient dragon who single-handedly demolished and massacred an entire legion of demons. Sometime later that night, back at the elven village, Dolan meets up with Diodara to have a chat, but she tells him to go away, that she isn't interested in being his sugar mummy. However, instead of walking away, Dolan tells her that he wants to clear his chest of something bothering him before they go into battle the next day. His insistence pisses Diodora off, but Dolan gets close and then offers to help heal the wound she suffered while fighting Rafflesia earlier on. After Diodora reluctantly agrees, Dolan heals her wound using his draconic life magic, which surprises her, and she concludes in her mind that Dolan is anything but human. When Dolan notices she is staring blankly at the flowers, he suspects she must be grieving them, and Diodara confirms it, explaining that Rafflesia destroyed most of the beautiful spirits of the forest, but she swears to avenge them. Later that night, Dolan joins Selena, Christiana, Merle, and the little elf boy from earlier, Rio, for dinner. While they eat, Rio brings up how much food Christiana has consumed already, and Selena is surprised that even after Christiana eats so much like a glutton, her waist is still lean like Tiana Taylor's. Christiana explains that the reason she doesn't get fat is because after every meal, she ensures she does a lot of waist wiggling at night, and hearing this, Selena takes a mental note so she can also start practicing it. Much later that night, while everybody dozes off, Dolan notices that Selena isn't sleeping, and when he goes to the balcony to check on her, he finds her sitting on the floor staring at the beautiful moonlight. So as he joins her, he is taken aback by how beautiful the elven village is at night. While sitting close to her, Dolan mentions that he notices how anxious she has been ever since they arrived at the elf village, and then apologizes for dragging her into the fight with the demons, knowing she isn't suited for warfare. But Selena tells him that isn't the reason she has been anxious. She explains that while fighting Gellin earlier and had her snake beast wrapped around his fat neck, she hesitated because she just couldn't do it. Even though she knew he was a bad guy and might probably flatline her, she couldn't bring herself to end his life. She calls herself a terrible lamia, but Dolan stops her right there and then tells her that the only reason why he invited her to stay in his village was because he knew she wasn't like other cold-blooded lamias. He says he likes her soft and gentle just the way she is now, and then gives her a cheap ankle bracelet he bought from Temu as a sign of his friendship. However, their bonding moment is cut short when Christiana drops a blanket on them and then asks them to do a quick smooch under the blanket, since the smell of their spiking hormones is all over the place. Moments later, while they all enjoy the beautiful moonlight view of the elf village, Selena vows that the next time they fight the demons, she is not holding back and she is determined to protect the village at all costs. The next day, as the entire village prepares for battle, Geo gives his Optimus Prime speech to hype them up, and once everyone is angry enough to fight, they swing into action. Since the goal is to destroy the demonic portal, which is made up of a main gate and 3 auxiliary gates, Olivia and some elven warriors will attack one auxiliary gate, Vlake and his beastkin men will take the other, while Alcien and some warriors will take the last auxiliary gate. For the main gate, Dolan and his girls are tasked with destroying it, but while heading to the gate, Selena jumps out of the carriage, insisting on helping Geo and his men at the auxiliary gate. Even though Dolan and Christiana try to stop her from going alone, the stubborn girl insists, assuring them that she will be fine and won't hold back this time. Not long after, the beast people of the forest arrive at the first auxiliary gate, but Geolude is already waiting for them, desperate to get the battle started. Around the same time, at the second auxiliary gate, Rafflesia gets to face off against Diodora, but Rafflesia threatens that this time she will make sure Diodora cries and begs like a wimpy brat. Meanwhile, at the third gate, Geo and his men try their best to put Gellin down, but the big guy deflects all their attacks and then mocks them, calling them a bunch of worthless fries. Just then, Selena shows up by raining massive boulders on Gellin and burying him, which surprises Rio and Geo since she was supposed to be with Dolan and Christiana at the main gate. However, after Gellin suddenly frees himself from the boulders, he threatens to have fun devouring Selena, but Selena isn't ready to back down. Inside the carriage, Christiana is deeply worried about Selena and believes they made a big mistake by allowing her to go fight the demons alone. But Dolan assures her that Selena will be fine and that she is way stronger than they think she is. A few minutes later, when the carriage arrives at the first auxiliary gate, they notice Geolude is wiping the floor with the entire Beastkin army. So Christiana tells Dolan to continue heading for the main gate as planned, while she rams the carriage into Geolude, crashing him to the ground. After she advises the beast losers to run for their dear lives, she faces off against Geolude, but Geolude brags that he has been awaiting a fight with a worthy opponent like her. Not wanting to engage in silly talk, Christiana immediately imbues magic into her blade, and as she launches an aerial attack, Geolude blocks her attacks and counters, but Christiana manages to maneuver all the strikes. Meanwhile, as Dolan rushes to the main gate, he figures his best move would be to quickly destroy the portal so he can minimize the casualties, and to do that he needs to hurry. So he unleashes his dragon wings and takes to the sky. At the second auxiliary gate, Diodora is bored because Rafflesia just wouldn't stop yapping, so she insists that they get the fight over and done with. Rafflesia agrees, and as she summons huge vines from underground, she creates a vine barrier to prevent any outside interference. To start off the much-anticipated fight, Rafflesia blasts Diodora with light energy bombs, but Diodora manages to evade her attacks, and when she tries to counter by sending her vines, Rafflesia crumbles her vines before they can touch her. Realizing it will be impossible to get the little pesky witch since she absorbs the life out of anything that comes close to her, Diodora decides to use a forbidden power she has stored for years. This power uses the power of black to absorb and embrace anything that has life, similar to Rafflesia's powers. But knowing about this power only makes Rafflesia even freakier as she challenges Diodora to see who can absorb the other's life first. Accepting the challenge, Diodora unleashes her power, but Rafflesia counters, and with a spark of powerful electricity, both girls try to absorb each other's life force. Eventually, Rafflesia's power overwhelms Diodora, and as she starts to drain Diodora's life force, Diodora doesn't struggle but simply allows her to drain it to her fill. When Diodora asks if she is excited about draining her, Rafflesia laughs, calling the excitement she feels incredible and irresistibly delicious, but Diodora tells the dumb yapper to enjoy it while it lasts, since it will be the last thing she'll ever taste anyway. Shocked at hearing this, Rafflesia asks what the heck she is talking about, but as those words leave her mouth, strange vines and flowers start growing inside her and tearing through her flesh as they force their way out. As giant vines sprout from deep within her body, they suffocate her tiny frame, and that's when Diodora reveals that when she attacked and nicked her face during their battle the previous day, she intentionally planted some tiny black seeds inside her ugly face. At that moment, the giant vines suffocate Rafflesia, and after sucking the life out of her, they crush her like a spoiled marshmallow. With Rafflesia dead, the barrier crumbles, and as Diodora collapses to the ground out of exhaustion, numerous Zerts approach to eat her alive. But since she is too weak to do anything, she realizes she is toast and starts to say the Lord's Prayer. However, as a Zert lunges to bite off her head, multiple lightning daggers rain from the heavens to stab all the Zerts to death, vanquishing them at that instant. As Diodora wonders what is going on, she looks up to the sky, and there she sees none other than Dolan hovering above with his dragon wings, but she faints even before she can say a word. A few minutes later, when she regains consciousness, she finds herself lying on a magical circle, and Dolan explains that the circle is needed to both heal and defend her against the Zerts. After thanking him for saving her life, Diodora points out that Dolan isn't human after all, as she has always thought, and Dolan, realizing he can't lie his way out of the situation, finally admits that he is the reincarnation of the ancient dragon. As Dolan turns to leave, Diodora asks to ride with him, but seeing her watermelon plots, Dolan's wood gets harder than the wood in the forest, so before he wets his pants, he immediately declines and flies off to go fight Jord. Meanwhile, at the third gate, Selena gets severely injured while facing off against Gellin. But after Geo helps yank out the wood stump in her tail, the magic crystal on the bracelet Dolan gifted her starts glowing, and to everyone's surprise, the wound on her tail heals without a trace. At the same time, Christiana continues to battle Geolude at the last gate, but after slashing him numerous times, Geolude regenerates, frustrating Christina to the max. Seeing the frustration on her face makes Geolude laugh, and then he brags about his immense power. Growing sick of his disgusting face, Christina activates her hidden N, and this time, she slices through every part of his body, making it impossible for him to regenerate. But since the moron just wouldn't stop yapping, she cuts off his head, ending him once and for all. A few minutes later, Dolan finally arrives at the main gate to face off against Jorg. Acknowledging him as the reincarnation of the mighty dragon, Jorg suggests they take their fight into the demonic realm, where Dolan can unleash his full power without fear of destroying the forest, and Dolan agrees. Meanwhile, in the forest, Theo tells Selena to save herself before running off inside the hidden path leading to the elf village. Feeling like a worthless loser for losing the fight against Gellin, Selena figures the best thing she can do is run away, as Rio advised. But while staring at the path leading to the elf village, she tears up, as all she wants is to help the elves save their village. At the same time, close to the elf village, Rio, Geo, and the rest of the elf knights try to slay Gellin, but they only end up enraging the big guy, who transforms into another kind of abomination and then attacks them with his spiky weapons. Hearing the elves scream as they get decimated by Gellin, Selena tries to help, but she realizes that her body is unable to move as a result of exhaustion. However, using the power in the crystal bracelet Dolan gave her, Selena is able to refuel her energy, and just when Gellin is at the verge of ending Geo's life, she shows up, summoning chains from the earth that bind Gellin. Effortlessly, Gellin breaks free from her chains, and as he attacks her with his dagger-like weapon, Selena calls forth her massive snake beast to nullify his attack, shocking everyone. When Gellin tries to attack again, Selena summons a giant fist from the earth, punching him in the gut and sending him flying. She also follows up by burying him with massive boulders, but when Gellin slashes his way out of the boulders, she restrains him with her cursed eyes. To finish him off, she unleashes her 9-headed snake beast, which transforms into a massive dragon, scaring Gellin senseless, and while frozen in shock, the dragon claps his head off, obliterating him instantly. Meanwhile, once Dolan and Jord teleport to the demon realm, Dolan draws his blade, transforms his human hand to his dragon hand, and insists they get the battle started. As Jord also draws his swords, he charges at Dolan, but Dolan almost ends him, forcing him to jump backwards. Realizing Dolan isn't here to play, Jord takes the fight seriously by blasting Dolan with a powerful dark electricity, but Dolan slices it apart like it's nothing. In the forest, the elves riding with Selena head to the main gate, but on the way, they bump into Christina, who is also heading that way, and as Diodora also shows up, they all decide to head to the main gate together. Meanwhile, at the main gate, Olivia and the rest of the forest leaders arrive after defeating all the demons. When they learn that Dolan is in the demon realm fighting with Jorg, Alcyon proves to be a cold-hearted hoe by suggesting they take advantage of the opportunity to destroy the portal with Dolan still inside the demon realm. Dio and Vlaik also buy into the idea, and Olivia, watching them silently, is surprised at how easily they can be disloyal. Back at the demon realm, Dolan and Jorg continue to clash their blades fiercely, and the moment Dolan sees an opening, he delivers a gut-twisting punch with his dragon hand to Jorg's gut, forcing him to cough up mucus and sending him crashing to the ground. At the main gate, when Selena and Christina learn that they plan to destroy the portal with Dolan inside, they strongly object. But the ungrateful Spider Girl explains that the forest is a top priority, and there will be no other chance to destroy the portal than now. Hearing this, Gio and Rio disagree, and Selena wonders if Alcyon's sense has somehow fallen inside her busty cannons. However, realizing that the three forest chiefs are determined to destroy the portal without a care for Dolan's life, Christina and Selena ask for a few hours, believing that Dolan will eventually make it out alive, and Diodora also says she is in support. With that, the three forest chiefs agree not to destroy the portal anymore and say they will wait for Dolan to return. Back in the demon realm, Jorg, determined not to lose, attacks Dolan with a million blade flash combo, but Dolan evades all the strikes with sonic speed and then counters by firing off a terrifying mystic blast from his mouth that explodes like an atomic bomb. Somehow, Jorg manages to survive the attack by vanishing into thin air, and then tries to sneak up on Dolan like a silent deadly assassin. But Dolan slices off his hand, saying the only thing silent and deadly is how disgusting he smells. Jorg tries to retaliate against the attack, but Dolan slices off his other hand, and before Jorg can even take a breather, Dolan divides him into two, ending the fight. In his last moment, Jorg acknowledges his defeat and then cries like a pathetic sad baby for being a worthless loser before vanishing without a trace. However, somehow in the demon realm, a busty demon girl is thrilled after witnessing Dolan's power firsthand and wants to have a taste of his long sword. A few hours later, Dolan teleports out of the demon realm, and after Selena hugs him, happy that he is alive, they destroy the demonic portal. Later that day, they all return to the elf village, where a celebratory party is held, and the three forest chiefs lower their heads in gratitude to Dolan and the girls for saving the village and forest. That night, Gio throws a big farewell after party for Dolan and the girls, and during the party, Selena and Christina show up in traditional elven attire. Seeing them looking so hot, Dolan can't take his cultured eyes off their jingle jangles and is about to blow a load, but the thirsty way he keeps staring at them makes the girls flustered. Right after, some elven baddies take Christina away to have fun, leaving Selena all alone, so Dolan takes the opportunity to ask Selena for a dance. As they dance under the shimmering moonlight, Selena thanks Dolan for the bracelet he gave her and then tells him how it helped her in her fight against the demons, even when she didn't believe in herself. After the dance, Selena, exhausted, passes out on Dolan's poking machine, and Dolan is happy to finally have a girl's head on his lower region. Suddenly, Dolan hears someone singing like an angel, and as he traces the sound of the voice, he realizes it's Christina unleashing her inner Beyoncé. However, Dolan isn't only mesmerized by the sound of her beautiful voice, he is also captivated by the lyrics of her song, as each verse tells of the legendary defeat of the ancient dragon and the hero who accomplished it. After Christina finishes singing, Dolan applauds her, and when he asks where she learned the song, she explains that it's more of a family tradition passed down from generation to generation. Upon hearing this, Dolan realizes that Christina comes from the lineage of the knight who clapped him over 1,000,000 years ago when he was a dragon, but he decides to keep it a buried secret. The next morning, as Dolan and the girls prepare to leave the elf village, Olivia thanks them for their contribution, and when she asks Dolan if he's decided to join the Magic Academy, Dolan answers that he still needs more time to think about it. Right after, Diodora gives Dolan a pouch containing black rose seeds that he can use in making a healing potion, and to show her gratitude for saving her, she locks lips with him, and Selena almost dies of jealousy. Several days later, Dolan and the girls finally return to the village and are excited to report all that happened at the elf village to the village chief, but just as Dolan walks inside his crib to freshen up, he suddenly gets stabbed in the chest, knocking him unconscious. In an illusion, Dolan wakes up to see himself on his bed, just like every normal day. After washing his face, he tends to his crops in the field and is excited that they are growing just fine. But suddenly Selena waves to inform him of visitors who came from the elf village. Apparently, Diodora, Rio, and Merle came to visit Dolan to spend some time with him, so Dolan takes them to the marketplace where they spend most of the day sightseeing. The day, just like every other day, was going perfectly, and Selena asks Dolan to go hunting with her and Balin. At first, Dolan declines since he didn't want to leave his friends from the elf village alone. But after Selena promises to give him more milk from her bouncy faucet, Dolan immediately agrees. Shortly afterwards, Dolan accompanies Selena, Balin, and some other dudes to the forest to hunt. But upon arriving near the cave housing some armored bears, Selena immediately summons her snake beast to attack the cave. As the mama bear tries to run for her life, Musclehead and his men chase after and slay her, surprising Dolan. When Dolan spots the now orphaned bear cub, he angrily yells at Balin for slaying beasts that have done absolutely nothing to humans. Pissed off at being yelled at, Balin angrily calls Dolan a stupid weakling, and then explains that beasts don't need to do anything, as their mere existence alone is enough to be a threat to humanity. Surprised at his statement, Dolan wonders what the heck has gotten into Balin, but when Selena tries to convince him that the mama bear is a harmful beast, Dolan finally realizes that everyone must have gone bonkers. Trying to distract himself from everything that happened earlier, Dolan stares blankly at the crops in his field, but Mayu suddenly meets him there and then questions why he is still checking up on his crops. When Dolan asks if her brain is still intact, reminding her that he does this every day, Mayu says yes and then explains that it is dumb for him to check on his crops since everyone will abandon the village soon. Dolan asks what she is talking about, and Mayu further explains that old Maguru has made the decision that everyone in the village must go their separate ways to fend for themselves. She also adds that the village elders will be having a meeting later that night to finalize the matter. Stunned to hear such ridiculous news, Dolan immediately takes off running, and when he arrives at the council meeting where the village heads are, he asks if they are really serious about leaving the village or if it's just some April Fool prank. The village chief confirms that the news is true, adding that the decision has already been made. However, Dolan refuses to accept it, arguing that everyone in the village is like family to him, and just like Vin Diesel always said, you don't turn your back on family. Still, the village chief refuses to change the decision, and Maguru also supports it, telling Dolan that the village might be important to him, but to them it's just a piece of land. Seeing that their minds are made up, Dolan can't bring himself to believe that these are the same folks he shared years of his life with. Over the following days, Dolan watches in shock as the villagers start leaving the village one after the other. Soon Maguru and Mayu, who he has known all his life, leave, and then his parents and his little brother. Still, as Dolan refuses to leave the village, Christina confronts him and tells him he will die a lonely 80-year-old virgin if he chooses to remain in the village, and Dolan is shocked that she could speak to him that way. That evening, while strolling the village, Dolan is devastated at the sad reality that his once cheerful village is now more like a wasteland. However, when he returns home, he finds Selena waiting for him with the dinner she had already prepared, and Dolan is relieved to see that she is still by his side. While eating dinner, they suddenly hear a massive explosion, and when they quickly look outside the window to check what's going on, Dolan is shocked to see that his parents' house is on fire. Immediately, Dolan runs over to his parents' crib and is taken aback to see Christina standing in front of the burning house with a fire torch. When he asks if she is responsible for setting the house ablaze, the nutcase admits that she did it with the help of some of the villagers. She explains that the reason she did it is because she realizes that Dolan is only attached to the village because of his parents' house, so to make him leave she had to get rid of it. When Dolan angrily asks if she hit her head somewhere, Christina just walks over to the field and tries to burn the crops also, since they are important to him. But Dolan immediately grabs her hand, and when he begs Selena to help him talk some sense into Christina, he is shocked to see that Selena is all packed and ready to leave the village without him. With everyone acting like they are high on coke, Dolan is on the verge of losing his mind, but in the next moment he suddenly finds himself drowning in a massive ocean. His mind is consumed with unanswerable questions about whether all the years he lived in the village as a lowly farmer had all been a dream. At that moment, he hears a female voice in his head mocking his existence and trying to convince him that all the love he showed the villagers had all been one-sided and that no one really ever loved him, not even his mama. The voice tells him that his decision to live as a human was a dumb one only a mental patient could think of, because humans will never really accept him for who he truly is. Sometime later, when Dolan opens his eyes, he sees himself in the dark, lonely cave he used to live in as a dragon. When he looks at his hand, he realizes that his appearance has returned to that of a dragon and wonders if the life he lived as a human had all been a dream. The girl in his head keeps trying to convince him that his life as a human had been one big dumb dream, but Dolan refuses to accept that reality. While Dolan mentally spirals, he suddenly sees Selena standing in front of him with her charming smile, and when he asks how she managed to find him in the cave, Selena explains that she just found herself there. When Dolan asks if she knows who he is, Selena says yes, reminding him that he is Dolan of Vuren village, and then she goes on and on, rambling about the time they met in the forest to how they saved the elf village together. After she finishes, she hugs his dragon face and then vanishes. But at that moment Dolan finally realizes that he is in an evil trance, which can only be created by one person, Calavith, his greatest enemy since time immemorial. At that moment, Calavith reveals herself to be the mastermind of the entire nightmare. She tells Dolan that he deserved all the pain she caused him with the illusion, because he abandoned her and his fellow dragons to go live peacefully with the humans. However, instead of arguing, Dolan tells her that he is determined to live his life to the fullest as a human and will not let any mofo stop him. Still, Calavith declares that she won't let him live out his fantasy as a human without a fight. In the next moment, she summons a beast from hell, ready to stop Dolan. But Dolan, fed up with her BS, uppercuts her summoned beast to the sky and then blasts a hole in it. Ready to finish Calavith once and for all, Dolan prepares a mighty punch, but Calavith quickly begs for mercy. And as she vanishes, the nightmare simulation ends. The next day, Dolan wakes to find himself in his room, and suddenly Selena rushes to the window to wake him up, thinking he was still asleep. To check if everything is back to normal, Dolan asks Selena what she will do if she is faced with an armored bear during a hunt, and Selena excitedly answers that she will simply use her cursed eyes to send the bear home. This makes Dolan laugh, realizing he is no longer in the nightmare. Later that day, Dolan and Selena visit Christina at the bar, where Dolan tells her he has made up his mind to enroll in the Magic Academy, shocking Selena. When Christina asks what changed his mind all of a sudden, Dolan explains that he had a creepy nightmare where everyone was acting like a crazed junkie, and at the end he lost the village and everyone he loves. The event of the horrible dream makes him remember what Denzel told him back in the city, that if he really wants to protect the village, then leaving might be the only way to do it. Christina finds his decision to join the academy exciting and is happy to have a friend like him with her there, but this decision makes Selena sad, as this means she and Dolan will have to be apart. The following week, Dolan leaves the village for the academy, and everyone bids him farewell except Selena, who is finding it hard to accept that Dolan will be gone away from her. Days later at the academy, while Dolan takes the entrance exam, Calavith suddenly appears to distract him and get free smooches. However, seeing that Dolan isn't fully concentrated in the exam, the mophead examiner angrily scolds him for wasting his precious gooning time and then walks away with his exam sheet. Meanwhile, back in the village, Selena tries to distract herself from Dolan's absence by tagging along with Balin and the others on a hunt. However, she gets distracted and mistakes a rustle in the brush for a wild animal. Acting on instinct, she summons her snake beast, and the creature lashes out violently, and in the chaos, a fellow villager is injured. After the terrifying incident, Selena apologizes, but while the injured guy tells her it's fine, Albert and Miyu notice Selena hasn't really been herself since Dolan left. Later that night after hunting, Selena returns to the house feeling totally worn out and drained from thinking about Dolan. She takes a book about monsters and humans given to her by Dolan, and while she reads absent-mindedly, she thinks about Dolan and how much she would have loved to go with him to the academy. However, she recalls how much humans detest and fear monsters like her, which would be the reason why she can't be with Dolan in the capital. To console herself, Selena decides to focus on her mission to get herself a husband, but still she can't take the image of Dolan's face away from her head. And that's when it finally dawns on her that all this while she was truly in love with Dolan, but she didn't realize how much she wanted to be with him. At the same time, at the academy, Dolan meets up with Denzel to discuss an important issue that has been bothering him. Several days later, Dolan returns to the village, but as he rushes to the house, eager to see Selena, he finds the place empty, and on the table he sees 2 letters written by Selena, one addressed to the villagers while the other addressed to him. As Dolan reads the letter addressed to him, he learns that Selena had left the village in search of a husband, so he quickly runs in search of her. Driven by passion, he transforms into his dragon form and takes to the sky to hasten up, and after searching the entire forest, Dolan finally finds Selena hiding behind a tree because she saw a dragon flying and got scared. After strolling the forest in complete silence, they stop by a river shimmering with the moonlight, and there, Dolan apologizes for leaving the village for the academy without considering how she felt, and Selena also apologizes for leaving the village without informing him. Dolan then reveals that back at the academy he had met up with Denzel and asked if a student can bring a familiar with them, and Denzel answered that it's possible, but a pact must be formed with the familiar. In light of this, Dolan asks Selena if she would like to come to the academy with him, but after a brief moment of shock, Selena screams that she can't because lamia are seen as man-eating monsters, and her presence will just complicate things for him in the capital. While she vents her frustration, she trips and falls into the water, and as Dolan tries to help her up, he tells her that he doesn't give a bloody heck about anybody and all he wants is her. Hearing him say those words touches Selena, and as she breaks down in tears, she hugs him and then accepts to follow him to the academy. Several days later, Dolan receives a letter of admission from the academy from Denzel, which excites everyone in the village. Before Dolan leaves with Selena, they both meet Ma Guru, who forms a pact binding them together, and a magical sigil appears on Selena's chest as proof of the pact. As Dolan, Selena, and Christina prepare to leave the village, everyone gathers to bid them farewell, and after saying their goodbyes, the carriage rides off. However, filled with emotions of leaving his village, Dolan tears up and begs everyone to take care of themselves, promising to see them soon. Comment Dragon Life if you watched this recap to the end, and if you enjoy anime recaps like this, subscribe to the channel and watch this next video.